It's two girls. One puts a funnel. I can't believe I'm saying this on YouTube. One puts a funnel thing, a funnel, you know what a funnel is, into the other girl's, and then she pours a bunch of into the funnel, into it. Why? I don't know. I am tempted to kink shame a little bit on this one. Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, we make videos on creepy and disturbing things here. Today I am starting another Iceberg series. I know, I have a problem. However, this one I couldn't resist. We're doing the Screamer shock site Iceberg, and it's pretty thorough and goes pretty deep. Very sorry to interrupt, but these videos would not be possible without my sponsors, and so we're gonna roll to that, but I will get right back into it. I have an embarrassing confession to make that a lot of you guys may not know about me. I'm kind of a bad driver. Don't get me wrong, I'm a safe driver in traffic, but I do have a tendency to play bumper cars with cement posts and curbs. I just have no radius perception. All that to say, my car is pretty beat up, and as you can imagine, taking a car to a body shop is very expensive, and I actually have to save up for it. This is why I am so grateful to today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. This personal finance app allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, build a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. I'm using Rocket Money to cancel my unwanted subscriptions with just a tap without having to wait on hold with the actual company, who, as we know, the actual companies are notorious for making it as difficult as possible to cancel any subscription. Rocket Money also monitors my credit and alerts me to important changes that may impact my credit score and tells me how I can improve it. I've also set up smart savings. You can choose an amount and a frequency, and Rocket Money will automatically take care of it for you by putting it into a smart savings account. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/HannahTheHorrible or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/HannahTheHorrible to get started for free. I know I'm in the middle of another iceberg on my channel right now, the paranormal footage iceberg, and yes, I will be continuing and finishing that series. Sometimes I need a break from certain topics and I'm getting a little burnt out on paranormal stuff, so I need just a wee bit of a break on that, and we're going to move to disgusting stuff instead. This is a great video to watch if you like scary things, you like horror, but you don't necessarily want to see all of the graphic things, but you're curious and you want to know what it is, you just don't want to see it yourself. This is the perfect video for you. Now, unless you're new to my channel, you know what an iceberg is. An iceberg chart is an internet phenom, meme, whatever you want to call it, where people put a certain category of things on an iceberg chart in order of obscurity. So the top tiers, the tip of the iceberg, has the least obscure, most well-known topics, and then as you go down the iceberg, it gets more obscure, and with more obscurity, we usually get more creepy and disturbing, which we love here. So the category for this iceberg is shock sites, things on the internet that probably shouldn't exist. We're doing tier 1, 2, and 3 in this video, and I will continue probably doing 3 tiers per video until the iceberg is complete. I will go through each one. Now, a very important part of this, I know that it's called the Screamer/shock site iceberg, which you're assuming would have a lot of jump scares, and you would be right. However, I promise I'm not going to jump scare you in this video or in this series. That is never my intention. I don't believe in jump scaring people unless they are aware that a jump scare is coming or might be coming, like somebody going to a haunted attraction, you're consenting to being jump scared there, right? Going to a horror movie, like you cannot be mad if the horror movie has jump scares. That's what makes a lot of horror movies fun. But people that don't want to be jump scared or are going to a place where they don't expect to be jump scared, I think is really not cool. So along with the like being a safer place to satisfy your morbid curiosity in this video, it's also a place where you can know what the jump scare is without actually getting jump scared. That being said, this video still will not be for everybody, because the point of the video is to help you understand what's on this iceberg without actually having to experience the disturbing thing firsthand. It's still no fun if I don't actually tell you what's in it, right? So some of the topics in this will be disturbing. I am going to show you some of the jump scares without the jump scare, if that makes sense. So disturbing imagery, I mean like the Jeff the Killer photo, if you're familiar with that. A lot of people don't like to see that. That's going to be in this video. If it's safe for YouTube, I am going to show you an example of what's in the shock sites. I just want to be very clear that just because I'm not going to jump scare you doesn't mean this video is going to be best for all audiences. There's still going to be some descriptions of some stuff in this video, and there is going to be some disturbing imagery. Usually it's a zombie or a ghoul or something like that, but it could be disturbing to some people. Tier 1 starts with the Keffi commercial. Keffi is a German energy drink. In 2005, they launched this campaign, these series of commercials for their energy drink called the Wide Awake campaign. This campaign featured 20-second ads that were literally just jump scares. It always featured some calm and relaxing scene, and then suddenly a zombie jumps out at you. Or a gargoyle is the other character they used. The one that most of you are probably familiar with, like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg, so most of these you're going to recognize, but a lot of us have seen that video of the car going down the road on a nice day, and it looks so calming and peaceful, and there's nice music, and then at the end of the 20 seconds, a zombie pops into the screen, full like close up on its face with here's the picture of the zombie that pops up, and it also simultaneously does this terrifying screeching scream. However, a lot of people don't know that this was a series of commercials. It wasn't just one commercial, but there was other versions of this. There was a yoga scene, there was a beach scene, a golf scene, surfing, but the one that circulated the most on the internet was this car one. This circulated so much that it ended up in a lot of those like try not to get scared compilation videos. And it was a controversial commercial series, as of course people were upset when they don't like that kind of stuff or horror and they were being subjected to an ad on regular TV, which I don't really blame them, honestly. Okay, let's move on to the Scary Maze game. This is a real game, but the whole point of the game is to just trick you into getting jump scared. Fun fact, you can still play this game on crazygames.com. The point of the game is leading a dot through a maze with your mouse, and the object of the game is to simply not touch the walls and make it to the other side of the maze without touching the walls. If you do, it starts over. The rules highly encourage you to have your sound on for the quote-unquote best experience, and also encourage you to relax and take it slow so you can advance through the game more quickly. This way your brain's super focused on trying to not touch the walls in the game. There's no sound until the jump scare, and then at the end, when you think you're doing well in the game, instead of completing the game, you just get Regan from The Exorcist, which is a image that a lot of people like to use for jump scares, and of course there is another horrendous scream. The next one on tier 1 is What's Wrong, aka What's Wrong with This Picture. This is a classic screamer from 2002 that was originally created by a man named J. Bill McCarthy. It is a video, but at first it just looks like a regular stock photo of a kitchen, and it's always accompanied with the message, what's wrong with this picture? Figure out what's wrong with this picture. There's nothing wrong with the photo. Spoiler alert. They just do that again, so you're looking really closely and you're hyper focused on it, so you're not expecting anything to jump out at you, and then of course it gets you. It's not a photo, it's a video, and there's a jump scare. Another scream, and this photo appears at you to scare the crap out of you. J-Bill said that he originally made this screamer specifically to scare his girlfriend. Like, all he wanted to do was scare his girlfriend. I bet it's an ex-girlfriend. Being made in 2002, this is considered one of the first screamer shock images that were circulating heavily through the internet. Anne.jpg is next. Anne.jpg was originally a website called akk.li, but Anne.jpg was a subpage on the website. When you clicked on it, it was literally flashing and terrible screeching noises as a photo of Jeff the Killer flashed over and over and over. I watched one clip of it. It's not scary as much as it's just like so incredibly irritating, overstimulating, and annoying. I forgot to mention in the intro of this video, I meant to say this, but we haven't gotten to anything flashy yet. But if you choose to go look at these on your own time because you're curious and you want to pick out the ones that I'm talking about that make you the most curious and you want to go watch them, I'm not encouraging you to do that, by the way. For legal purposes, I would actually recommend not looking up any of these. However, especially if you have epilepsy or some sort of heart condition or health condition, like, you know you best. But just FYI, some of these sites can be very dangerous for that and can induce a seizure or other health conditions because they are so shocking. 10 million subscribers is next on tier 1. This was a video uploaded to YouTube in 2013 by Smosh when they reached 10 million subscribers. The video is about how they promised at 2 million that if they ever hit 10 million, they would pull their dicks out and do the helicopter with them and upload it to YouTube. So at first, they act like in the video, they're unbuttoning their pants and they look like they're going to make good on their promise. But right as it looks like they're about to do it, there's a jump scare instead. This is the photo. It honestly wasn't too bad of a jump scare, in my opinion, as far as jump scares go, which makes sense because we're at the top of the iceberg still. But my juvenile brain also thought this video was funny. So, okay, 2 Girls, 1 Cup is next. There is going to be some overlap in my Do Not Research Iceberg series. Regardless, I probably don't need to go into too much detail on this one. You guys know what this is. I can't imagine anybody who's ever been on the internet at least once doesn't know what 2 Girls, 1 Cup is. It's a shock video. It circulated around 2007. It's an adult film featuring 2 women, and it is focused on a scat fetish. Obviously, no kink shaming. I know people are legitimately into that, and you know what? Consenting adults, it's none of my business. However, the vast majority of people are going to be very grossed out by this. And instead of it circulating just in the adult film industry, it started circulating as a viral video for people to react to, for people to see if they could sit through. So, of course, the video was never on YouTube for obvious reasons, but there was a trend around that time on people making reaction videos, so just showing their face as they watched the video. It's hotly debated to this day whether the video was staged or not. My personal opinion is that most likely it was, because if the actors were not into that, most actors are not going to want to put their health in danger for an adult film, so they probably came up with some sort of lookalike alternative. All right, moving right along to tier 2. The first one is Ghost Caught on Tape. We just talked about this in the paranormal footage iceberg, actually. So most of you also probably know what this is. The video is of a rocking chair moving, and that is what we think we're watching, that it's a, like the title says, a ghost caught on camera. And so it's a ghost rocking a chair. So we think we've got this paranormal entity, but then turns out it's staged, it's a trick, and it's just so that you're again distracted by the chair, so you don't expect another Reagan from The Exorcist jump scare and a scream, which is exactly what happens. This is also like the Keffi commercial on a lot of Try Not to Get Scared compilations. Kekmaga. Cool. So this one got me. Fun story. I went to this webpage before reading about it because wasn't my proudest or smartest moment, but I had never heard of it before, had no idea what it was going to be, other than the fact that, of course, I knew it was going to be some sort of shock site. Not gonna lie, this one made me a little lightheaded because A, I was not expecting it, and B, the video that is shown is so horrible. So a big squeamish warning for this one, especially if you have a penis. Also, this particular site has a lot flashing lights, terrible noises, and very, very graphic imagery. So I'll explain what shows up when you go to the website. When you go to the website, it's a black screen with, of course, warnings and an enter button. There's warnings that the site is not for anyone under 18 and no children. When you enter, a deafening sound plays, and there's just gore. There's so much gore. The background is flashing between two photos. One of the photos is of a man whose face was the victim of a bear attack, and the other is a photo of a man whose arm is no longer attached to his body because he held a firecracker too long, supposedly. So that's the background flashing images with the terrible sounds. So those are not the images that made me lightheaded, though. I'm very fascinated by like crime scene photos, graphic crime scene photos. I know a lot of people think I'm really weird, but forensics really, really fascinates me. So those, I've seen plenty of that kind of thing. That does not bother me. The video that's playing in the middle on a loop is what bothers me, because there's a video on top of this background flashing. The main image is of a man squatting in a bathtub. I'm telling you, really huge squeamish warning. And there's a pool of blood under him. He's very aggressively pushing a very large screw into his urethra. Interestingly enough, this was not always the main photo of this website. Prior to 2022, the main photo was instead apparently a medical procedure showing tapeworms and a human liver, I believe them being removed from a human liver, and the background images also would change. This site is also now called Kekma.net, but it was originally Kekmaga or Kekma.ga, which is funny because it's an iteration of MAGA, however you say it, MAGA, the Trump saying. The creator actually commented on the Screamer wiki page and explained that a friend suggested that it would draw in politically oriented people who are likely not familiar with shock sites if he named the site some iteration of MAGA. So he named it that on purpose to hopefully trick Trump supporters into coming to the site. At least that's my interpretation of it. So then additionally, when you go to the site, it automatically puts you in full screen after you press enter. So you're already disoriented because of what you're seeing and the noises, and you have to like think for a second and press escape to get out of it. But even when you press escape, there's that little box that says, "Are you sure you want to leave? Your data won't be saved." And you have to also pick between the choices and click leave to get out of the site. So it's also not easy to click out of. Horrible. Yeah, never going to that site again. I had to click on it several times to write the script for this video, and never again. It was just once was more than enough. And the site, like I said, I got a little lightheaded. Okay, next is Lemon Party. Again, this is one that most of us have heard of. It's a very classic internet shock photo. It's a troll photo. You send it to people and it seems like it's an innocent thing. Like, hey, you want to see what a lemon party looks like? And it's something that, again, if you didn't consent to see it, you should not be forced to see it. But the photo itself is not that shocking, in my opinion. It's a photo of three elderly men getting it on. Two of the men are kissing, and the third man is performing oral sex. Do I want to see it? No, but I think it's really homophobic to make it a shock photo. I just don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the photo. It's three consenting adults minding their own business. So, like I said, don't send this to people without their consent, but there's nothing like actually wrong with the photo, but it's still not something that you should be forced to look at if you didn't want to. Okay, Goatse is next. Very similar to Lemon Party, where trolls used this to prank people saying, hey, look at this photo or Google this, blah, 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 blah. And then they would get a terrible surprise. Goatse is a shock photo of a man bending over, and it's a straight shot from behind. And he is, how do I put this in YouTube safe terms? He is clearly into that stuff with larger objects, most likely, and he is spreading it to show the internal parts with his hands. Does that give you a good image? Don't recommend Googling unless you're into that kind of stuff. Yeah, very infamous photo. Most people at least know what it is. Okay, 1444 is next. Huge trigger warning for S-word on this one. There's not much to it though. This was a Russian man named Gleb Koroblaviov. My apologies on my Russian. And he was on the Russian social media platform called VK. He was live streaming on October 17th, 2019. There's not much to this one. Like I said, it is the trigger warning. That's the whole story. He passed away by S-word on the live stream in Russia, and a lot of people unfortunately saw it live. And of course, the video still circulates to this day, I'm sure. I personally have actually not seen this one, and I'm okay with it. And it's just really, really sad. Like, it's just so sad. And again, it's really, I mean, a lot of people are mad that people would do that on live stream because it traumatizes others. And I totally understand that. I get it. But it's also kind of hard to judge when somebody is clearly in such a mental crisis, their brain is not working correctly. Okay, Pain Olympics, aka the BME Body Modification E-Zine Pain Olympics. The BME is a real group who get together, and they did play something they called the Pain Olympics from the years 2002 or 2003. It's debatable when it started, until 2008. They would do things like drink hot sauce, see how much weight they could carry on a suspension, stuff like that. This was like an actual group of people that were just very passionate about body modifications, typically extreme body modifications, not just like ear piercings, but, you know, like tongue splitting and like weird piercings and stuff like that. And they obviously enjoyed the pain that went along with it. So they decided to have their own Pain Olympics. And yeah, nothing wrong with that inherently. Again, consenting adults doing consenting adulty things, whatever they want to do. But in 2007, a hoax video went around the internet. It was not associated with the real BME, but it was titled the BME Pain Olympics Final Round. The video depicts two men performing genital mutilation with the song Living Like a Zombie by the band Mortification playing in the background. The video is very low quality, so many believed it to be real because you can't really tell. But the original video supposedly had a message at the end of it explaining that the video was fake, that it was a fabricated video and they were just joking that it was part of the real BME group. It was not associated with the actual body modification E-Zine. E-Zine. But as it spread through the internet and went viral, people liked to edit out that ending message to freak people out more so that people would think it's real or not know whether it was real. Tub Girl is next. Huge, also just disgusting warning for this one. I mean, I don't have to warn, most of you probably already are familiar with this, but if you've never heard of it, get ready, or if you're squeamish, move on to the next one. Actually, if you're that squeamish, you probably also should not be watching this video in general. But if you are, just a warning. We've talked about this one on the channel as well. It's another shock photo. It depicts a girl in a tub. She's laying on her back and her legs are up by her ears. So she's quite bendy. And the story behind the photo is that she supposedly took an enema, and you know what enemas do. And the substance, the result of the enema, is squirting out of her like a fountain and landing back on her face, in her mouth. Black Licorice. I actually am going to show you this one because it's funny, it's not scary, and it was literally originally made for children. This was a game that Nickelodeon made. Nickelodeon had made Flash games back in the 90s and early 2000s. They called them Kekmagas, and this one came out on Halloween 2002. It showed all these trick-or-treaters. You had to give them these caramels on the plate, but if you accidentally gave them the black licorice, you got a little jump scare. This specifically happens with the baby in the photo, and a demonic voice says, this. I'm gonna just show you the clip. So a tiny jump scare warning for this one. I'll turn the sound way down.
Thank you.
So then at the end of the game, if you close the door, the baby in the demonic voice then comes back and says Happy Halloween through the little mail slot, and it's kind of another jump scare.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Very cute in my opinion now, but Nickelodeon, not surprisingly, had to take it down pretty soon after posting it because parents were complaining this was scaring their children, which I don't blame. I get it. When I was a kid, if I wasn't, this would have scared me too as a kid. I was a very, very scaredy cat of a kid, and this would have scarred me. Some of the comments I read on one of the YouTube videos said people said that this still scarred them to this day because they watched it when they were too young. All right, Meatspin. This is another classic that I'm sure you've heard of or seen. This one is a short video loop. It's almost like a GIF. This one is a close-up of two people that have penises and they are having sex. It's called Meatspin because the recipient in the photo, their penis is spinning around doing like a little helicopter thing. Again, sorry to sound like a broken record, but of course, it's not okay to send adult images or violent images to anybody who doesn't ask for them or is not consenting to get them. I get that. But I just don't like the way that this is, again, considered a shock photo because it's inherently transphobic. One of the people in this little clip is supposedly I've heard is a trans woman. And I just have a feeling that if this was a hetero video, it wouldn't be spread around as a shock video. It would still be spread around as something inappropriate, but it would be like, oh, look at this porn clip. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if this was a hetero video, it would not be treated the same. And it just feels very inherently transphobic to me. How to go to hell. So I couldn't find this exact one, but I believe this is referring to the quiz called Are You Going to Heaven or Hell? There's this old entertainment site from the early 2000s called Liquid Generation. The website no longer exists in its official form, but it used to have like quizzes, games, other entertaining things that us 90s kids remember from the early days of the internet, when before we had smartphones and everything. We used to go to sites like this and play. You guys remember the Impossible Quiz? Like stuff like that. Like YouTube was not the same, and these like random gaming websites that we had where we'd play stupid little games. Anyway, so Liquid Generation was like that, but they had a lot of shock stuff as well, specifically a series called Sabotage. We'll talk about that part later, but this was a quiz where you went through and answered moral questions. After answering all the questions, it was going to tell you if, based on your answers, you would go to heaven or hell. However, no matter what responses you chose, results would look like they were loading and then stop at 75%, and then instead of showing you results, it suddenly instead said, you're going to hell, with a big depiction of hell behind it, and Satan would appear to scream ouch at you. Blue Waffle. Okay, we all know this one too, right? I don't need to go into crazy detail on this one. It's just one of those things that's always on the do not Google lists. It's a euphemism for female genitalia that is diseased, and so horribly diseased that it looks blue. Photos of it are meant to shock and upset you, and it's like one of those like, oh, I bet you can't find a blue waffle on Google Images, and then your friend looks it up and sees that instead. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go on another little soapbox rant. I'm so annoying. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm annoying myself, but I hate this internet thing as well. I know it was made 20 years ago or whatever. Like, I'm not offended by it per se, but I think it's important to add some commentary to why this might be problematic today. First of all, it perpetuates shame around talking about STIs and the myth, perpetuating this myth that STIs look like this. And if you have an STI, you're diseased and disgusting, and you must be a total whore but it's a total myth. Most STIs don't look like this and or are completely invisible some or most of the time. And stuff like this just makes us not want to talk about our sexual history with potential partners, and like, we should all be talking about that. It should not be a shameful subject whatsoever, because all that does is encourage people to have partners without getting scanned, without getting checked, or without disclosing, God forbid, that they have something and giving it to somebody else. Like, it's not as disgusting. Like, you're not disgusting if you have an STI. You know what I mean? We don't want to spread it, of course. Like, obviously, we don't want to spread it, but you're not disgusting. Like, ugh. Okay, let's move on to tier 3. The first one in tier 3 is Mr. Hands. This one is terribly upsetting. This is also known as the Enumclaw sex horse case, Enumclaw, Washington State. So represent. Kenneth D. Pinion was the guy who went under the pseudonym Mr. Hands. He and other men that have remained anonymous had an adult film ring specifically for bestiality. Kenneth was known for engaging in these now illegal activities with a stallion being an intact male horse. That's right, I said now illegal because it wasn't until this case that there were laws against bestiality in Washington State, which is so messed up. That means it was technically legal at one point. But anyway, Kenneth would make videos of him receiving from this stallion. And if you're wondering how that's possible, the short answer is that it really isn't, because he died. He was filming one of these videos and died from internal injuries. Agorio. So, a game called Agorio was released in 2015 and became very popular. It's a very simple game where you go around trying to eat pieces that are smaller than you and avoid the objects in the game that are bigger than you. But with the success of the game, someone made another site called Agorio rather than Agorio, aimed at people who misspell Agorio so that they accidentally go to Agorio instead, which was, of course, a screamer site. Agorio goes to a site. The shock jump scare is very similar to Anne.jpg, which we talked about earlier. Jeff the Killer flashing on the screen inducing seizures in those with epilepsy, as well as terrible screeching sounds in the background. On top of that, the site was also very difficult to close. The site disappeared the same year that it appeared. We don't know why exactly. We never got real updates or follow-up on it, but I personally believe that it was suspicious timing with a Reddit post that a mom made saying that her 9-year-old son heard about the Agorio game from a friend at school, went home and wanted to play it himself, accidentally put in Agorio and had epilepsy or some sort of seizure disorder and ended up having a seizure from it and ended up in the hospital from said seizure. This mom was posting on Reddit asking basically for legal advice, that her son was still in the hospital and that she's talking to lawyers. So feels like right timing that it was disappeared pretty shortly after it was made, and it was likely because this person got either sued or settled or something like that. That kind of thing really does scare me about just children like having full access to the internet, because there's stuff like this all over the internet. There's stuff everywhere. It's unavoidable. And I don't blame the mom in this situation, because like, especially, an older kid, you cannot watch every single tiny move that your child makes. It's just not possible. I get it. It's important to talk to your kids about things that could be on the internet. If they're not sure about something, they should ask the parent before going to the site, and they'll navigate that with them. But there's still only so much you can do. And kids, preteens, they're gonna be preteen kids and go and seek out stuff or make a mistake like this and type in the wrong thing and see something they didn't want to see. And it just scares me, because it's just the way our life is now. And it's just, people are being exposed to this kind of crap way too young, in my opinion. It's kind of, it's like a free speech thing. It's like this person, there's shocker things all over the internet. it's not really this person's fault, in my opinion. Like, even if you put a seizure warning before it, the kid probably wouldn't have read it, you know? So it's just very unfortunate and scares me because there's not really that much that can be done other than parents educating their children before they get online. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not a parent, so I'm not dealing with that yet. But my heart goes out to you parents who have to try to control the media that your kids consume. It's bananas. Okay. Liquid Generation, we already touched on this, but Liquid Generation, like I said, was an entertainment site created in 2002. It had quizzes, games, animations, videos, stuff like that. But they were most known for their Sabotage series. These were literally just screamer videos. They were often masquerading as games, and then when the player tries to go through the game, they're subsequently jump scared when they try to play. Some of them were specifically made to send through email chains, hoping people would click on them and then pass them on. Lamando.com. This is a Japanese horror puzzle game that appears to be this innocent, cute, fun game when you go to the website at first. But then once you click into the game, it gets so dark. The whole thing is very dark. Also, this game has a lot of themes of depression, S-word, and it's just dreary. Like, you're dreading the whole time, and it's just dark. And then all throughout the game, I've seen videos of people playing the game. I haven't played it myself, but I've just watched people like doing Let's Plays on YouTube. It's a game that you literally just play to get scared. Like I said, I'll show you some of the stills from the game so you don't get jump scared, but you can see like kind of what it entails. One Lunatic, one Icepick is next. I'm not going to go too far into this one because first of all, I've talked about it a million times on this channel and I hate giving this piece of shit attention. It's the Luka Magnotta case. Ever since Don't Fuck with Cats on Netflix came out, most people are aware of this case because it's one of the most horrific, evil things that anyone has ever done to another human being. Luka Magnotta killed somebody with what the title implies. He films the whole thing. He does terrible things to the body as well without, like, not just killing it, but so much worse. Films it all and then uploaded it to the internet. It's been wiped from a lot of places on the internet, but unfortunately not everywhere. And it's still circulated around as one of those, like, see if you can sit through it type videos and shock your friends and see if your friends can get through it. Like I said, I think this is one of the worst things that has ever happened on the planet, at least involving only one victim. And I don't think this video should exist. The video quality's bad, but like, because you know what's happening, it's so unbelievably terrible. Nobody should see it. The family shouldn't have to know that a video of this is out there. Like, that's disgusting. And this one's later in the iceberg, but I'm just going to talk about it right now because it's also Luka Magnotta, but also One Boy, Two Kittens is on here. I'm not explaining this one to you at all. It's too upsetting. It involves animal cruelty. Again, if you've ever seen Don't Fuck with Cats or ever heard of it, you know what it is. You already know what happens. Honestly, don't recommend the documentary. I tried watching it and I literally looked up all the timestamps because people shared the timestamps of when they show the actual animal cruelty footage, because they actually show some of the footage in the documentary. What the hell, Netflix? But even without that, the documentary's really stupid and really bad. In my opinion, it focuses on the people that hunted Luka Magnotta down, but it focuses on Luka way too much. There's like one or two scenes talking about the victim, who was June Lin, the one that Luka killed, and there's like no focus on that in the documentary at all. We don't learn that much about who June was or anything about his life. There's a little bit, but it's way more focused on glorifying Luka. I don't know. Okay, so after that is Kikia. Kikia is known as one of the earliest screamers ever to exist on the internet. It's probably not the first, but it's one of the very firsts that actually got spread around a lot and went viral, for lack of a better word. It was uploaded in 2002. It's a little animation. The first picture is of this, and in Chinese on the photo, on the drawing, it translates to, "How long haven't you taken a look at the sky and daydreamed?" And then it goes to another drawing of this little guy in the city that says, "Walking down the street, you see." Feels like it's going to be this wholesome thing, but instead it's a jump scare. A photo pops up with a scream instead this photo. This is not the scariest of screamers now, considering all the other stuff we have on the internet, but like just take a moment to imagine. It's 2002. It's 20 years ago. And a bunch of young kids have just discovered the internet and they see this without ever expecting to see it. At least now, a lot of us kind of know that we might accidentally come across something like that. You're completely unsuspecting. You're a teenager and you're just minding your own business, and then this pops up on the screen. It was scarier for its time. Okay, One Man, One Jar. We talked about this one in the Do Not Research Iceberg as well. This one's also just a classic. It's very graphic, very disturbing and gory. It's a man who, again, I gotta say this for YouTube in a better manner. He likes the butt stuff, and he likes to use large objects with that stuff. So this is a video of him trying to use a jar for what he likes, and he sits on the jar with no clothes on in the video, and the jar breaks. I have seen this video. 10 out of 10 don't recommend, obviously. By the way, what's interesting is the backstory. The man was fine, by the way. He was interviewed. He said that no, that was not planned. That was a total accident. He did not want the jar to break, that he was pretty injured, but he was okay in the end. It didn't, it took some recovery time, but he was okay. He never went to the hospital, which is really sad, but he was too embarrassed to go to the hospital. He has a wife and kids, and they didn't know about what he was into. And I mean, especially, of course, hopefully the kids would never know, but his wife didn't know either. And so he didn't tell her. And then he didn't want to go to the hospital because he didn't want her to find out, or even the hospital staff to find out, which I find that sucks. Like, I mean, the hospitals have seen everything. Like, yeah, it's going to be embarrassing, but they're still going to help you. You know what I mean? And yeah. So anyway, he said he was okay in the end, but it was a couple weeks after that of it sucking. Offended and Other Pages. Encyclopedia Dramatica. So Encyclopedia Dramatica is the troll version of Encyclopedia Britannica. It's a site with a ton of racism, gore, and shock content. That's all you need to know. It was so offensive that it's filtered by Google results. You can't just Google it and have it pop up. It was filtered all the way back in 2010 by Google. An administrator for this site was the perpetrator of a school pew pew event, in Aztec, Arizona in 2017. If that doesn't tell you enough about the site, then I don't know what will, but it's just middle-aged dudes living in their mom's basement trying to stay relevant and hoping somebody cares about their opinions on the internet. I read some of the site, like seriously, it's so cringe. It's so bad. It's literally, these people are trying so hard for someone to care about their really, really bad takes. And that's all it is. Yeah. Fake Fancams. This is, again, not a specific video, but it is a trend of videos. We've actually talked about this on the channel before. I made a separate video about it, specifically about the K-pop fan cam situation. This is when a video of an artist or a band is playing on, usually it started on Twitter. At first, it was K-pop artists that, of course, are going to have a younger audience typically, but others have been dragged into this too. They're shared on Twitter innocently, as if to promote the band or artist, or just let you watch a little clip of the band or artist. And then they stick a horrifically gory photo randomly in the middle of the video to trick people, usually younger people, into seeing something they don't want to see. It was very often self-harm images. However, there was other stuff. There was violent crimes. I know that this happens on TikTok as well, because we've also talked about that, like that beheading video that was being injected into random innocent videos on TikTok, like innocent animal, cute animal videos, literally just to trick children typically into watching these horrible things that they'll never unsee. This was really, really upsetting kids and parents alike, of course. And I think it's settled down, but I'm sure it still happens. There's always the internet, the internet is great for a lot of things, but it's also got some serious whack jobs that get on the internet, and they can be anonymous, and some people get great joy out of that. Okay, Eel Soup, another huge warning for squeamish, very, very disgusting on this one. This video was made in 2002 and began circulating around the internet in 2008. It's another 2 girls, 1 cup situation, except with eels. Also a warning for cruelty towards baby eels. Obviously, I'm not going to show you any photos though or anything. This one's just so disgusting. It's 2 girls. One puts a funnel. I can't believe I'm saying this on YouTube. One puts a funnel thing, a funnel, you know what a funnel is, into the other girl's booty, and then she pours a bunch of baby eels into the funnel, into it. Why? I don't know. I am tempted to kink shame a little bit on this one because first of all, you're involving animals, and second of all, just what the hell? So then the girl farts them out, and then the first girl who put them there in the first place, you know, it's then eel soup is what it's called, and she eats them. Okay, moving on. Puzzle Room, Kirby Planet Robobot. This was a video uploaded to YouTube that at first is the problem solver from Kirby Planet Robobot game playing. In the middle of the video, in Russian though, it'll give you 2 options. In Russian, it'll say yes or no. When the video shows the person clicking yes, it goes to just a random music video. But when the person clicks no, it goes to a jump scare picture of a baby with Harlequin type ichthyosis, often referred to just as Harlequin babies. Harlequin ichthyosis is a rare genetic disorder that a very small amount of babies are born with. They typically don't live past a week. It's a devastating thing. It's when really thick plates of skin are formed on the baby. Here's a drawing of it from Wikipedia. I'm not going to show you any graphic images of it, but here's like a medical drawing example of it. It's in pretty poor taste to use any baby or child as a jump scare, especially when they're afflicted by something that's quite literally not their fault and had such a short life. Like that seems... Again, that's not shocking. That's just really sad. Like the poor baby. Of course, while there's nothing inherently wrong with these babies, it is just like a shocking thing to see. So I'm not going to show it on YouTube. If you guys want to Google it, fair warning, it's upsetting. For me, it's more upsetting just because I feel empathy for the poor baby that's probably in a lot of pain. The Pain series is the second to last one on tier 3. This is again not one photo, but kind of an internet game. It kind of reminds me of Run the Gauntlet. If you remember, I made a video on that a while back where it's like you try to get through each level of an upsetting or gory or disgusting video, and they get worse and worse as you go on. This one isn't really like that, but it kind of feels like that. It's a series of 7 shock photos. Pretty much all of them supposedly involve Goatse and Tub Girl on it. And then it's just a bunch of other shock photos that people send to other people. But, you know, graphic diseases, mutilation, dead bodies, gore, all the stuff that's typically on shock sites. It was, surprise, surprise, popularized by Encyclopedia Dramatica. Okay, the last one for tier 3 and the last one for this video, part 2 will be coming, is SCP-450. Again, most of you are probably aware of or have at least heard of the SCP Foundation. It's fictional, but it's a collaborative online project of this secret society. SCPs are any paranormal or mysterious phenomenon that the SPC Foundation has discovered. They document it and keep it from a secret from the rest of the world. SCP-450 refers to the death row block of an abandoned federal penitentiary. The location of the penitentiary is redacted. Behind the electric chair in this block is a complex pattern made out of human blood, and then there's an entity or multiple entities that live in the block, and if you're in there when you're not supposed to be and you attract their attention, you're basically screwed. So like I said, this is completely fictional, but if you ever go to the SCP Foundation website, like I hope you have hours of time on your hand because it's such a rabbit hole. Now, this screamer on this iceberg actually has nothing to do with the actual SCP Foundation, but you need that for context. This was a video that somebody made based on this SCP. The picture of the block, I think it was in the Eastern State Penitentiary, is where this photo came from, but this photo is often used to depict SCP-450. So the video features this photo for most of the video, and then at the end of the video there's a kitten, and then it looks like the credits are about to roll, so you're all safe, but then instead you get a bunch of jump scares and disturbing imagery like some of these that you see on the screen. Okay guys, that's gonna be it. That was tier 1, 2, and 3 of the Screamer Shock Site Iceberg. We will do probably 4, 5, and 6, or 4 and 5. I have to see how long they are at a later. That'll be part 2. And yeah, please like the video just to support the channel. By the way, if you've made it this far in the video, if you would like to support me further, I have a Patreon down below where I post exclusive videos. There's early access. We do Netflix parties, private Discord servers, stuff like that. I also now have channel memberships, which are cheaper than the Patreon. And with the channel membership specifically, you get a little channel membership badge by your name and special emojis. And I think they're really cute personally. So that join button is always below the subscribe button if you feel like supporting the channel. If not, no pressure. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And lastly, my second channel, the Listener Scary Stories channel, is now on a separate channel. If you like Listener Scary Stories, that series that I started on this channel, it's now over there. So I'll have that link down below if you'd like to subscribe and listen to those as well. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks to all of our patrons, top tiers: Colin Holmes, The Deck of Cards, Michelle Valdovinos, Tom L, Little Kittle Cat, Mitchell Schaefer Meyer, Mike, Alice Paul, Brittany Phillips, Momonian, Rita 144, Sage K, Elderly Hipster, The Puppy Hag, Rebecca Jackson, Toby, Carter, Kawakan Anime and Gaming Convention, Sarah the Crazy Fish Lady, Maxie, Ellison Luna, Tiny Mighty Bookworm, A Bunny Apparently, Leon Vanek, Elliot Fink, I Am in Your Walls, Hapromania, Cyberdog Investigations LLC, Vicky Cat, Amy B, Tick Urch, Dead Without the E, Ball, Olivezilla, Chara, MH Dave, Ami, Lindsay R, Miss T, Lou Raccoon, Shayna R, El Magnificoco, Victor Schmiel, Laura Winter, Lilith, Dana, Ashes, Arctic Ghost, Goshzilla, Gabriella L, Arya Anomaly, Ghosty Girl, Mel Miller, and our newest Jessica Cook.